Hello, welcome to the Baron's Hideout podcast. I am your co-host, I guess you can say,
And I'm
Dustin.
Aaron.
And today we are going to be talking about my all-time favorite horror movie, um, Halloween 1978. Not to be confused with Rob Zombie's Halloween, and also not to be confused with the 2018 version of Halloween. And there's like 10,000 different versions. You gotta like specify which one you're talking about.
The original tonight.
Yes. We'll probably wind up touching on some of the other ones later on in the year, but we'll see. But right now, we're going to talk about this one just because a little bit of background as to how I was introduced to this movie. This was actually my first horror slasher, whatever you want to call it. Some people prefer to call it a slasher and not a horror, and some prefer to call it a horror and not a slasher, and then some people call it a horror slasher. So, whatever you want to call it. This was the very first one I ever saw, and I saw it with my mother. I think I was, say, it's in between the ages of 8 and 10, I believe. And this movie scared the hell out of me. It really did. Um, I don't know, Aaron. When was the first time you saw
A
this?
long time ago. Honestly, I saw it probably when I was a kid too, but didn't really remember it too much until I saw it for the first time again with you. I believe it was at your place, either your place or at the
Yeah,
movie theater when they were playing the $2 movies or whatever it was.
yeah. I think that yeah, that was
Yeah, I think
last year,
so.
right? But I think we did
We watched
watch
it a
it.
few times before then, I'm pretty
That
sure.
Yeah, because I think we watched it once to get prepared for the
Yep.
newer one. But I don't know if I ever watched Halloween 2 with you, so we're gonna have to do
Yeah.
that together.
We did watch the
At
season
some
of The
point,
Witch
you know.
together too.
Oh yes, we did. We did. We'll definitely gonna be talking about
Yeah.
that one. I'm telling you that much. Um, but that's a little bit of a background as to how I was introduced to this movie and how Aaron was introduced. We're gonna be really diving into this one, guys.
Oh yeah.
So be prepared. Uh, just to prepare you for how much I go into detail. Well, not really much detail, but just like a lot of the things I talk about is I've stopped this movie at least every 2 to 5 minutes and wrote a note
Yeah.
about it.
It's
Um, and it's funny because this is a movie that doesn't really have a whole lot going on. It's very it's a lot of build
oh
up.
yeah.
It's I guess you could call it kind of a slow burn,
Yeah.
but it's great for the time it was, how much they spent on it. For the people who are in it, it's amazing. So, Aaron, if you wanna do the honors of starting us off with the
Alrighty.
intro.
Well, um, we start off with the Halloween theme song everyone knows and loves. And with a black screen and a rotting pumpkin, or isn't it rotting in reverse too, actually, or something like that, if I remember correctly.
I think, I
Oh, one of
think,
them.
I
Oh,
think that's the
that's right.
second movie.
Anyways, um,
It's confusing because a lot of
they
these
start off
movies,
the same.
start out with
Yep.
pumpkins in the beginning.
So we start off with meeting Judith and her boyfriend. Um, this is Halloween night. We zoom into
1963,
1963 in Haddonfield, Illinois. Um, and
which, by the way, everybody, in case if you don't know, is a fake,
yeah,
place. It's not an actual place
where
in
is it?
Illinois.
It's a cover up. um,
I I forget. think I have a note on it below. We'll probably talk about it later.
but then we go over to a point of view of Michael Myers as a little boy. Um, he's walking into his own house. He goes into the kitchen drawer, grabs a butcher's knife. Uh, Judith's boyfriend is leaving. He creeps his way up the stairs. And you find a naked
Yep.
Judith chilling in her bedroom, fixing her hair, looking in the mirror, doing teenage girl things. And he goes up and he starts repeatedly stabbing her.
Yeah, and what's really funny too, I don't know if you caught on to this, but all this takes place in like five
Yeah,
minutes. So the intro is
it
pretty
happens
much like 5
fast.
minutes, right? So when Michael is approaching, he sees like his sister and her boyfriend on the couch like
Yep.
fooling around, and they go upstairs. And while that's happening, while they're upstairs, they're already up there. Michael goes around the
Oh
back of
yeah,
the
I forgot about
house
that part.
and comes into
Mm-hmm.
the door, grabs a knife, and all this is in like maybe a minute span. So that means when they went upstairs, they had sex in less than 2 minutes. And he's like, "Okay, babe, I'm
Somebody's a
good.
little quick
I'm
in the
gonna go
trigger.
home." Yeah, and then like they're all done and all this other stuff, and then he makes his way up there and just kills her. And this is actually one of the only times besides the ending of the movie where you actually see blood in the film, and it's on Michael's knife when he goes outside when his parents come home. Which is weird that he kills Judith, goes downstairs, knows that his parents are going to be home or something, and just stands there, and they're just like, Michael?
They're not even gonna question him as
Literally,
to why his sister is
like,
dead or he's
Michael?
sitting there with a bloody knife. Just Michael.
It's really funny. And then after we get the whole like they take off his mask and everything, then we jump to 15 years later, which is 1978, which is the year of the movie, and it's I don't think it's Halloween yet. I wrote down October
Oh, right.
30th.
Oh
Am
yeah,
I? Oh wait, no. I'm sorry, guys. This is before we jump to Lori. So this is the day before Halloween. This is when Loomis is in the car with the nurse. I always forget her name, and thought I wrote down a note, but I totally
yeah.
forget. And it's a storm going on, and they're going to Smith's Grove to think check on Michael, or they got like a they didn't really specify why they were going there. I don't think.
Well, I think probably because they heard that he was being transferred, and they wanted. Then
Yeah,
maybe
that
that
must have
links
been
in
it.
with
It was
that
a
scene you were
transfer.
talking about earlier.
Yeah, maybe. And then so they do that, and then Loomis gets out of the car because all the patients are outside in the rain, like out of the gate. The gate's like busted open.
Oh,
You see it very quickly when he's like running up there, I guess to try to get on the intercom, whatever, to get them. But the nurse is still in the car. She's the one that was driving it, so he just gets out of the passenger. And while she's waiting, Michael, which we don't know it at first, but it's Michael. He like smashes the side window with his hand with like brute strength because he's obviously superhuman, indestructible. So he does that, and she gets out of the car, and he steals the car, and then Loomis kind of like says something after. It's like, how does he
you
know how
just
to
get some
drive?
snarky little
You know?
comment like, "I didn't know this guy could drive."
Yeah.
He-
And then after that, we jump to Lori's introduction. So Aaron, if you want to
All
take
right.
it.
So we pan into Lori. Presumably before school, on her way to school. She's talking to her dad. He's a real estate agent who is actually trying to sell the Myers home. Um, he asks her to drop a key off at the Myers house as somebody is interested in trying to buy it. Um, so she takes an alternate path to school, comes across Tommy, who is the boy she babysits. You'll meet him later on in the movie. Um, he asks her, "Why are you going this way to school?" And she goes, "My dad told me to. I got to drop this key off at the Myers house."
Yep.
He talks about how the kids say it's haunted and how they're all scared of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
a
the
spook
spook house.
house. He says.
Um, so and then you get a view from inside the house through the window. You can see Lori dropping the key off on the front porch. And there's a shadowy figure there just watching. And then the
The
shape,
shape.
yeah, just a silhouette. And then I believe that's when um, he first. Give me a sec.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
starts
she
walking
starts walking
away.
away.
and she's singing this little
Yeah.
tune. I quoted a little bit of it, and I think this is always like a foreshadowing thing. Like this is something that they wrote in to kind of build up suspense or kind of get you thinking. But she sings, "I wish you had me all alone, just the two of us." She sings more after that, but just that little quote right there is just like, okay, so there's gonna be a showdown between, presumably, if you've never seen the movie, you're thinking, obviously, Lori and whoever is stalking her, and then
Creepy.
jump to after that because he's watching her on the sidewalk while she's walking down. It's in
Yeah, can we talk
broad
about how
daylight.
nobody says shit?
Yeah, like he's obviously, actually I don't know if he has
I
the
don't think
mask
so
right
because he
now.
hadn't stolen it yet.
Yeah, so he's just there in the jumpsuit, which we'll learn how he gets that after, and we'll also learn how he gets the mask and everything. But I think right now he is maskless. So I guess that's probably why
Nobody's
nobody's really
recognized
saying
him,
anything,
or
because he's just a dude
but he's still
on the
wearing a
sidewalk. No one really
what are they
know.
called? The gownies, or that the patients wear.
Yeah, no, he ditched
Uh
that a long time ago when so he's already
oh,
wearing the
that's right. He
jumpsuit
stole
from
it from
the
the.
trucker.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. So then we jump from that and we go to Loomis talking to pretty much the board of the institution that Michael was at, which was Smith's Grove. This is not Smith's Grove, but it's a different facility. I forget what it is, but it's pretty much the board. And I was telling Aaron before the stream, I wanted to try to get a clip of this, but I couldn't find anything good enough to put on stream or to get like an audio. Maybe I'll find a way to shove it in there when we transfer this to like all the other places and just get like a little clip of it
Hmm.
of the audio. But Loomis, uh, there's a deleted scene with Loomis talking to the board, like the actual board, not just the guy that you see him walking down to his car. He's, I think he's talking to them. I should have rewatched this before this, but I think he's just pretty much talking about like, why did you let Michael go, and you know how dangerous he was. Like, you guys should have listened to me and all this other stuff. And then it jumps to them and then him talking to the one of the head board members. Like, how did he learn how to
Yeah.
drive? And it's like somebody probably taught him how to drive. I think Loomis says along the
Yeah.
lines like
The
that.
guy, he's like, oh, he doesn't know how to drive, and he goes, well, he did pretty well last night then.
Yeah, yeah, that was great. And then let me.
They just
Then we jump to school. So it's now Lori, I believe, is
yep.
in school, and they're talking about. I think I have some of it written down here somewhere. They have some kind of discussion about fate. So to like, I don't remember the exact conversation, but as that's going on, Lori's looking out the window and sees a dude standing by a car, and now you can see that he's wearing a mask now. It's kind of far away, but I think at this point in time in the movie, he's robbed the store, and now he's really stalking
Yep.
Lori, and he's driving the car more, even though the car has the wherever Loomis was coming from, the board of I don't know if it's health or whatever it is, but he's driving around town with like an
Yep.
official car,
So nobody questions it.
and then
Yet again.
yeah. So I mean, I guess if you could say at the you're trying to listen to the conversation, you're trying to figure out if you're trying to link things, if you're like really thinking about it, is this whole fate conversation, are they talking about Michael or are they talking about Loomis? Like, is it Michael's fate, Loomis's fate? Like,
World may never know.
you don't know. If you really wanted to dive, if you really wanted to dive and have a conversation about that, you probably could. Right here, since we have so much to talk about, as much as I would love to have a conversation about that, we we have too much to talk about
Endless theories, I'm sure.
for something that doesn't have a lot going on. Yeah, maybe we'll do like a one-off thing of talking about weird questions, and then jump to Tommy's school, I
Yep.
believe. And so uh, Lori like looks out the window, looks and then answers the question from the teacher. Looks out the window again. Michael's gone. And then we jump to Tommy carrying a pumpkin. I don't remember the bully's name, but there's like
Three
what
or four,
three or
yeah.
four of them, I think, and they're pretty much harassing him. Then they drop. They like no, they smack the pumpkin out of his hands, and it falls to the ground. And then one of the bullies runs away and runs into Michael. I always thought from memory,
I
I
did
thought it was
too.
Tommy who runs into him, but it's not. When I rewatched it, I was like, oh, it's not Tommy, it's the bully. So then I guess it makes a little bit more sense why well, actually I don't even know where I'm going with that.
I
Scratch that. I
noticed
don't
that
know what
too,
I'm
though.
saying. But so after that happens, uh Tommy is still inside the school, like they're kind of separated by a gate, and Michael starts just following Tommy in a car. Tommy doesn't even realize even he's looking everywhere
Except for where
else
he is.
besides the road. So he's like looking at like the ground and like the buildings and everything, and then just not at the road. And then I think it's the Loomis's part. So Aaron, if you want to talk about
Oh, when they're
that,
searching the house, right?
about when Loomis
Oh,
finds
yeah,
the
yeah.
car.
So Loomis finds. Oh, shit. Hold on. Excuse me. I lost my place. um,
It's okay. I did the same thing.
yeah.
Have so many notes.
Loomis finds the car. Michael's been driving. Oh no, no, it's the car from the last from them the kills
Yeah,
before. It
the
was a tow
mechanic, I
truck, I
think it
believe. Yeah.
is.
Um, he's searching the scene. It looks like there's like sheets or something everywhere. And he finds, I believe
Yeah.
it's matches, right, or something, or cigarettes.
Yeah, he finds a box of matches. Doesn't really lead anywhere. I forget what it says because it wasn't really. It doesn't lead
But they
anywhere, so I
belong to
didn't
the
even include
nurse
that
from
in my notes. But
the murders the night before.
yeah, something like
Um,
that. Yeah, that makes yeah.
so and then after that, refresh my memory.
They go back to
Yep.
Laurie's
Oh,
school, I
okay.
believe, and this is this is when we start getting the
Oh
totalies,
yeah, yeah.
and I counted every single totally in this movie. I'll tell you right now, there's a total of 11. The first time that you see um
uh,
there's so many people, but I always forget
is
which
it
girls who.
Annie
I think this one
or Linda?
Annie is we see
Oh,
Annie
okay. Is
later,
it
but
Linda
this is
or
hold
what's her
on,
name?
Linda. It's Linda. It's Linda. Like the way you like get introduced to these characters is that
Yeah.
throws me off sometimes. But yeah, we see her talking to
Yep.
Linda, and Linda starts asking her. Actually, is it her or Annie that asks her about the dance? Is that later on, or is it this part? I didn't
I
quote
think
that.
that was when they
But
were smoking the joint, right? Right before the
yeah, I think that's with Annie. So that's
Yeah.
when they're in the car. So at this point, I think they're all going home, and Linda's kind of criticizing Lori about getting
Yep.
books and all this other stuff, and then we get introduced to Annie, and then we get some more
Totally.
totalies, and then we get the car that Michael is driving
Creeping by.
and creeping, and then he like flies by them, and then Linda, I'm pretty sure, no, it's Annie. Sorry, Annie shouts out, "Speed kills,"
Just
and he just
slams
like
on the brakes.
brakes, and then it all just like,
We fucked up.
oh shit. But then he just drives away, and then that kind of, I wrote down here that it like sets up for the rest of the movie. I don't know what I mean by that. I was trying to think what I was thinking at the time of that, but maybe it's just by, I don't even know. Like, why would I have written that?
um.
Like, it's not about like building tension. Well, I guess it kind of
Yeah, it makes
is.
you think
And maybe
maybe
that's
he's
what I
just
was
gonna
going
come out of the
for.
car and take him out right now. But
Yeah. And then we go to where they're dropping off
yep.
Linda. So Linda goes home first, and then it's just Lori and Annie, and they're talking about I think meeting up
Yeah.
later. or something, and they're talking about
Yep, she said she'll
babysitting.
pick her up at 6:30. Um,
And then we get another creep shot of Michael just like standing in front of a bush. And Annie's not looking at all, but Lori is, and this is the third time I think right now that she has actually seen Michael, or presumably thinks she sees Michael. We know him as Michael, but she doesn't
yeah.
know who he is yet. And then she runs up there and she's like, "Oh well, he wants to ask you on a date." And then Lori's just all like shy, like, "Okay," and then it's like walks up and but nobody's there.
And then
And then we get the first actual jump scare of movie, which is Annie's father when she's not looking, and you just get like a loud noise, and then it's Lori looking at the sheriff, and they're just like talking and
everyone's
saying like,
entitled to a scare
"Hi."
on Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yep. And then we get back to Lori's
yep.
place, which also has
All
a
the
good scene.
windows are open with the wind blowing the curtains. um,
Yep. And that was definitely made a
yeah.
meme over the
Oh
past
yeah,
couple of
I
years.
love those.
People doing like songs and stuff of them looking out the window. There's actually a really cool guy who dresses up as Michael Myers a lot. I follow him on Twitter. I think it's also on some other social medias, but
Is it
Stabby
the guy
Time
who goes
TV.
around? He made that video where he's like on a skateboard and he's going around stabbing people.
He might have done something like that, but he does like really
Mm-hmm.
short clips of just him dressing up as Michael, and he is the funniest dude I have found. I think he was on TikTok for a little bit, but then he just dropped episodes now. I think he's mainly just on Twitter. He might be on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram too. But he's if you guys don't know who Stabby Time TV is, please go give that guy some support because he's awesome, super funny. He has other people too that he does stuff with. They dress up as like Ghostface and uh a bunch of other people. And I think there was like one thing he was doing where he had like sons, so they were all Michaels, so they're all wearing Michael Myers masks. It was hilarious. Oh man. So there's a lot of cool like Michael Myers content out there. Like as anybody who's watching the video right now, as you can see, I have a ton of Michael Myers masks and I got pumpkins everywhere. I love Michael. And but back to the movie, you get the graveyard scene. Aaron, if you want to talk a little bit
Alrighty.
about that, I think you have more notes
All
on that than
right.
I do.
Graveyard scene. Right. Sorry. Here we go. So you got Dr. Loomis. He's walking through the graveyard with the keeper of the cemetery, asking about Judith Myers, which, as you might not know yet, it was Michael's sister that he had killed in the beginning of the movie.
Yep.
Um, so
Rooney.
they're wandering the graveyard. Uh, they come across a hole in the ground, and Loomis goes, "What are you lost, man?" And he goes, "Oh, those damn kids! They always got to do something on Halloween." And the headstone is dug out.
Yep.
Um, just a hole in the.
Isn't he telling like some kind of like creepy story about some other dude who killed his family or something? He
Yeah,
didn't really. We didn't get a lot of closure on that, but he was going somewhere. I'm like, oh, this sounds really interesting. But they kind of just like cut it off with
yeah,
the tombstone being gone.
um,
Um,
yeah.
and we get what the Myers house after. I think we jumped to. It might have been a little bit of, or was that the
I
car
think
scene?
that's yeah.
I
I was
think
gonna
I
say I think
skipped
we might
over
be
the
my
car
notes might
scene.
be a little mixed up too because I think the hardware scene story when they're in the car is after with the graveyard scene.
So it must be because I don't think I put
Yeah.
any notes on that. So if you want to talk
Okay.
about that, you
So
can.
um, Lori and was it Linda? I believe. We're in the Annie. That's
Lori
right.
and Annie.
We're in the
And it's the one you
yeah.
see more of.
So they're driving a car. Her mother's car, Annie's mother's car. They start smoking a joint.
Yep.
They're cruising around, talking about boys and classic high school stuff. Um, uh,
Yep.
and they discover a police car up ahead, and she goes, "Oh shit, that's my dad. Put this out. Put this out." Um,
Guys, I'm
as you
smoking a
got
joint.
Lori coughing a lung up. She's like, "Keep your shit
Yeah.
together." So they pull.
Which I guess is probably Lori's
Yeah,
first time if you had to
Yeah.
guess and you were watching it, I think it was her first time.
That's everybody's first time, honestly. um.
Yeah.
Anyways, they pull up to a hardware store, and he gets out of the car to talk to her dad. They ask what happened. Um, he said, "Oh, some kids broke into the hardware store." She goes, "You always blame the kids." And he goes, "Well, all they
Yeah.
stole was some Halloween masks, some rope, and some kitchen knives." Um,
It's but if you're a sane person, especially if you're the sheriff, I think he's like the head
yep,
sheriff of the town. We don't really see any other like police officers besides
yeah.
maybe like one or two just passing by. But knowing that it's rope, like the mask, whatever, but rope and knives, I
That's a.
would I would kind of be a little bit more, especially the time that we're in
Mhm.
right now. I think that it would have been a little bit more serious, but maybe that's just me thinking it should be
Yep,
more serious and they should be looking into it. I mean, he is there and they are talking about it, but they're not
yeah,
really like doing a lot of follow up on it. But
but yeah.
I think
That's
yeah, and then Loomis I think comes into the
yep.
scene at that point too after Lori and Annie
Oh
drive
yeah.
away,
He go,
and Loomis gets his attention. But as he's waiting, who passes him in the car?
Michael.
Michael. And where's Loomis looking?
Nowhere ever except the
Nowhere at the
street.
street. Nobody looks at the street in this movie. I swear, dude. Except for when the girls were in the group. That's like the only time people look in the street and at the end of the movie when
Yeah, now
Loomis
to think
sees
of
the
it,
car. But that's it.
nobody.
But like
Yeah.
it's like I don't understand why like no one looks at the street, especially if you're
I
trying to
was gonna
cross
say,
it or
I don't think
something.
anybody looks both
Um
ways before they cross.
no. And then this is when we jump to the
Yep.
Myers house, I believe.
Yeah, Dr. Loomis and the sheriff, right?
Yeah, so they go there. They go to the old Myers house, and Loomis asked if anybody has lived there, and he was like, "No." I think he gave like a specific amount of years, but I don't remember. But they haven't really done anything with it. I mean, it's old and run down. It's not really that bad looking for how
Yeah.
long it's been there. 15 years without anybody being in there. Well, give or take 15 years, because who knows how long like the
Yeah.
parents were still there.
It's been at least
Um,
15.
but yeah, so they go in there, they find a dead dog. Now, note this as a lot of people when I watch or listen to reviews of this, nobody points out that this is the first dog kill of the movie. We don't see this one, but there's two dead dogs in this movie, and that's a huge
Yeah.
no-no. You don't harm animals, especially if it's pets. So Michael's got two on the board right there.
Not looking good there, Mikey.
And no. And then we get some pretty good quotes from Loomis. The one that I wrote down that I think is probably the one that everybody quotes a lot is the
Yep.
blackest eyes,
The
the
devil's
devil's
eyes.
eyes. Michael doesn't know right from wrong and he's
He
just dead
doesn't know.
inside. I think, Aaron, you got some more quotes written down
Yeah.
there than I do.
Yeah, he said a man wouldn't do that. And then Loomis responds with, "This isn't a man," which is pretty eerie.
Is not a
They
man.
describe the dead dog as still warm, so
Yep, so it's
fresh.
relatively
um,
relatively new.
but yeah, they say Michael has no sense of life or death or right or wrong, and that he's pure evil.
Yep. And then this is when I would say the movie
Yeah.
starts picking. When we get to the
Yep. This
babysitting
is Halloween
scenes
night, right?
of yes, this is official Halloween night. Annie is watching.
What's her name?
I
The
think
little girl,
I have
right?
I have a quote on here somewhere with her name. I think.
Let's see.
Shoot.
Lindsay
I have so much
Wallace.
stuff written down, guys. Lindsay. That yep, it's Lindsay. So Annie's watching Lindsay, and Laurie's watching Tommy, which we've already have a little bit of relationship with Tommy. Lindsay's new. We don't know anything about her. So they kind of like throw a new character kind of at the end, which isn't bad. They did it, fairly well. They weren't trying to get too
Yeah.
much info on the kids. It was more like the
Yeah.
girls. So we get think it's Annie calling Lori. What are they talking about? The
Yeah, they're
dance,
talk.
right? I think this is
Yeah,
the dance and about what they're doing tonight
yeah.
or something like that, and that she wants to go see her
Yep.
boyfriend
Oh,
Paul.
Paul.
So we get another new character we never see, but we do get introduced with somebody new. But as that's going on, Annie's in the kitchen. I think she's
Yep.
making popcorn for her and Lindsay, and Lori, I think, is with Tommy, who Tommy is actually watching on TV, which, if you guys don't know, John Carpenter's favorite movie, The Thing from Another World. So that shows up quite a few times in this film, and for you guys who know or don't know, he later on goes to remake that movie, which he's at first he really didn't want to do that, but in the end he did it.
Thing.
And I think Annie spells
Yep.
butter.
She gets
I
butter
think
on
that's
her
what she
shirt.
says. She spells butter on her clothes. So as that's going on, hear Michael and see Michael breathing outside the window where Annie is. And as she's undressing because she got butter on all her clothes and puts on, I think, must be like Lindsay's father's shirt
Mm-hmm.
or something. And as Annie hangs up with Lori, Michael accidentally bumps into a pot and it falls on the ground. But he literally just nudges
Rookie
the thing
mistake.
and it just falls. And then Lester, well, actually we should have said this earlier. Lester's barking
Oh
at
yeah, yeah.
Annie while
So
she's
she's
on the
getting
phone.
pissed off.
Yeah, so she's kind of already in the mood, and then she spills it on her, and then
Lester's the dog, by the way.
we get a scene. Yeah, Lester is the dog. Sorry, guys. So Lester goes outside while Annie's getting changed, and Michael is just hiding in a bush, and then we get the second death of a
Lester
dog.
comes around the corner,
But
barks at him. Michael ain't having it.
yep, yep. Actually, the person who does the whole scene is actually a dog trainer. So for anybody who's curious as to who did that with the dog, it was an actual dog trainer. So they trained the dog to just go limp. And if you watch till the very end, I rewound it a
Mhm.
couple of times just to see like how the dog was like reacting at the very very end before it cuts to the
Yeah.
next scene. You see the dog kind of go limp, and then his
Oh
legs go
yeah, I
back
did
up.
notice that.
So it's very very quick. It's very quick. So it only lasts like 2 seconds. I don't know what they did to get the dog to
But
do
just
that. I
very
imagine it was
well
probably
trained,
treats.
yeah. Dogs are very
Yeah.
smart, so
Um.
let's
Then
see. Then you get
the
oh
laundry room
yeah.
scene. So you can go on and talk a little bit about
Alright,
that if you want.
Annie gets she's washing trying to do her laundry. They have this weird laundry room. It's kind of like a almost like an on I don't know how to describe it. It's like outdoors though. It's got like um
Yeah. At first I thought it was
yeah, it
an
looks like a
outhouse, like some kind of like
greenhouse
weird
almost,
outhouse.
but it's kind of weird. But
Yeah, it's very
anyways,
weird.
yeah, so she's doing her laundry, trying to get the butter out of her clothes. Um, she gets stuck in the laundry room somehow. I don't know how
I
she pulled
can't
this off,
comprehend
but
this.
she gets stuck.
She locked herself in, but if you look at the door, there's a knob to unlock it. So it's like I don't know, and it's funny because this is like where kind of like the supernatural kind of comes into
Yeah,
play because the door with no wind, nothing, just
yeah.
slams shut, and then she can't
Um,
unlock it.
yeah. So she finds a window. She tries to climb out, and her ass gets stuck. Um, so she's calling for help. Here's the phone ringing, and who might that be?
Yep.
That would be no,
Michael?
no. That would be fuck, what's his name? Bob, Paul. Yeah, yeah, Paul,
Paul?
Paul. Yeah, that would be her boyfriend, Paul. So she goes to Annie.
Yes.
Not Annie. Sorry, Lindsay to answer the phone. Gets no response. She's still stuck in the window. Um, Finally gets a hold of Annie. Annie talks to Paul and says she's stuck. Um,
Yeah, she kind of like does like a little smirk. She's like, "I told you not to
yep.
tell anybody."
So she gets her out. I think she moves something so she can get out of the window, but Um,
I think she literally just turns the
yeah,
knob.
something like that. But like,
She just opens the door, or she like wiggles it, and then it like,
like
unlocks
nothing.
magically. So it's just like, what is going on with
So
this
she
scene?
gets around.
So it's a little bit of like a flaw, I
Yeah,
guess you could
but
say.
um, so Annie gets on the phone. She talks to her boyfriend. Um, so he asked, "Oh, I guess you're stuck, huh?" She goes, "I told her not to tell anyone." Um, let's see, and then so she wants to hang out with Paul. So she calls Lori, and
Well, I think does she call? Or does she go over to the
I
house? I
think she
forget.
called. Oh no, she talked to her already. So yeah, so she
So I
she
think she just
brings
heads over
Lindsay
to the
over
house.
to Tommy's house to hang out. I think Lindsay
Yep.
likes Tommy. They're either friends or she's got a little crush on him or something because she gets super excited when she asks
Yeah,
about
there's
him.
some kind of like some weird childhood, like you know how you start getting the feelings. Like I mean, they're still relatively young. They must be at least
Yeah,
10, so they're
but
kind of
anyway,
getting there. So there's
yeah.
something going on.
Um, they're at least friends. Let's see. So she brings him over to Tommy's house. They hang out. Lori's gonna babysit both of them. And then Annie leaves. She goes to start the car, realizes she forgets her keys, goes back in,
Oh my god, this scene.
goes back inside to grab her keys, starts the car, and I'll let you finish this up.
So when she grabs her key, she goes. Well, first of all, let's talk about how she goes to the garage and then how she goes
Oh
back to the
yeah,
garage. So first, it looks like she goes all the way around the
yep.
house, right? Gets to the
Longest way.
car, and then goes all the way around to go to the front door to grab her keys, and then just goes to the middle of the house and goes back to the car. So she does like way more steps than she needed to when she could have just like went through the front door, make sure she
Yep.
had her keys, and then go to the car. She would have just avoided this whole situation. Well, maybe she would have avoided the
Maybe.
whole situation. But when she realizes that the door's locked, she goes to get her keys. Then she goes back. She's like humming and like singing about Paul, and then opens up the door. And I have to give this props. I have to, because a lot of movies would not do this, especially nowadays. I haven't seen anybody be this aware of something like this in a long time. Of knowing that she opened up the door and closed it, and then thinking, "Wait a second, I had to get my keys. So how's this door open?" A lot of the times, people just open and speak da 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 whatever, but she actually stops and thinks about,
Yeah.
"Oh, wait a second, something's not
Yeah.
right here." And then I think she looks in the rearview mirror, and then Michael slits her throat, which you get a really funny like her face, dude. Oh no, no, I
Yeah.
think she
She
gets
chokes
choked
on
out
her.
first, and then he stabs her. But her face that she makes is hilarious. And also note that there's no
No
blood.
blood at all.
This movie uses
Considering
very, very
she got her.
little amount of
Yeah,
blood.
especially compared, with the fact that she got her jugular slit. There's.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like super foggy, and even when she goes into the house, I mean, into the car, the windows are like very, very fogged, which is crazy to think that Michael was only in there for like maybe like 15 seconds, and he fogged up that
Oh,
whole
that
car.
motherfucker breathes heavy.
I mean, yeah, he is wearing a
And he
mask,
does
but
sound like Darth Vader.
kind of yeah. Um, so that, and then we cut back to Tommy's house where I think he's playing hide and seek with
Yep.
Lindsay at this point. He's like at he's
Oh
behind the
yeah.
curtain on the window, and he looks outside and sees the boogeyman carrying who we now know, Annie, back inside the house, which is another funny thing that he came out of the garage to go to the front door. So it's like, why didn't you just go back through? It's like he wanted somebody to see him,
He's into that.
like, or it was just a way to like build suspense or
It's
something.
freaky.
And then we cut back to the Myers house with Loomis now kind of keeping guard, and just to make sure, because before like the sheriff was saying, "Hey, why don't you stay here?" Or Loomis like, "I'm gonna stay here just in case Michael comes back." Now he's hiding in a bush, just so because he doesn't want to be like out in the open or
Nope.
anything like that in case if Michael does come, kind of catch him by surprise. And there's a group of kids, which I think is the bullies from the beginning of the
Oh yeah,
movie. I
just
think
trick
we
or
see them
treating, right?
again, something like that. Yeah, and they taunt one of the friends to go up to the Myers house, and then Loomis is like, "Hey kids, get the hell out of here," or something along the lines like that, and they get like all spooked.
They run off
And
and
yeah. And after that, we cut back to um Linda and her
move
boyfriend
Bob.
Bob. So now we get another new character,
He won't be
Bob.
around for long.
I don't think I'm
I don't think
skipping over
so.
anything, right? And then we get some more
Totally.
totalies, and this is when we get the last 5 totalies. I should have put the quotes down, like what she was saying to get to totally, but I didn't. That would
Yeah.
have been a lot. But they make a really really gross joke. They're talking about like ripping off people's clothes, but then Bob says, "Okay, I'll rip off your clothes. You rip off my clothes, and then we'll rip off Lindsay's
What the?
clothes." Lindsay's the little girl,
Oh, Bob.
so it's like, what? Like, this is
That's
really
dark.
bad.
Yeah.
Like I really thought they were talking about Annie the first time I watched this, but then when I was writing down the notes for us, I was like, wait a second, that's really
Yeah.
gross. So I mean, I know it's just a joke or
It's an
whatever,
older
and this
movie,
is
but
like way back when, but
still a little messed
it's
up.
still like,
Someone's
and
a
then
future pedophile.
didn't they go? Yeah, well, I mean, he doesn't make
Yeah.
it that
Right.
long, so
Um.
so maybe that's why he gets killed. Because
Michael's
Michael
a
heard that joke.
vigilante.
Uh, yeah, somewhat.
But
And then they go into the house. They're calling for Annie and looking for Lindsay. And I think it's them who calls Lori, right? Or is it Lori that calls the house to check on Annie? I forget.
well, I don't. I believe, um, they decide they're just gonna chill in the house for a bit first, and then things start to get a little
Yeah.
frisky. Um, and then
Yep.
she calls Lori.
Okay, so okay, that's what I
But
thought.
yeah,
And then they shut off all the lights and they go upstairs and they fool around. And then we get the I want a
give me
beer.
a beer, make me a
So
sandwich.
okay, go get me a beer. Then we get the famous Bob kill when he goes downstairs. He raids the fridge, grabs 2 beers, and then the door magically opens, and then he's just like, or it either opens or it closes or something.
He's
Something with the door
behind it.
happens, and then he
Hmm.
goes over there, and then he thinks it's Annie or Lindsay or Linda
Some
or
bitch.
somebody, and then he opens up one of the cupboards, nothing there. Then he turns around and opens up. I don't know where the door leads, but there's like another door
Maybe
that
like
leads
a
to another
pantry or
room.
something.
And then Michael comes out, and then this knifes him right to the
Pins him to
door.
the wall.
No blood. And that's when we get the first time we see the Michael hit tilt. He looks at him and
Yep.
tilts his head. So that's the first time when we see that. Um and then we get the sheet ghost Michael is what I call
Sheet
him, the
ghost
sheet
Michael.
ghost. So Linda thinks
Bob.
it's Bob with the but Bob doesn't have any beer or anything. She's just taunting him and like shows him his her boobs. Nothing
He's just
happens,
standing in the doorway.
and then she calls Lori again, and this is when Michael starts creeping up behind her and strangles her with the phone cord, and Lori thinks that they're joking around, and then just hangs up. So that's the end of that whole thing, and then this is when we start going to the ending. Well, this is
Towards the
kind of
end,
like I guess you
building
can
up.
say the quick
Yeah.
climax. This is like the quick climax of the movie, which is done very well. If you think back to pretty much the whole rest of the movie, nothing really happens until like the last like 40 like
Like it
not even
lasts to
45
20
minutes, like
minutes.
less than a
Yeah.
half hour. It's literally right now, like 20 minutes is when things start really picking up.
It's like the whole movie is
So
just a build up to the ending.
we when after we get the kill, this is when things start picking up more. It says Loomis now sees the car, which how he didn't see the car for the whole time he was at the Myers house blows my mind. Because it's right across the street. This goes back to them not looking at the streets until they need
Yeah.
to. So, um, we get the first time they see the streets is when the girls are together, and then last time is when Loomis looks in the street and sees his old. Well, it wasn't his car; it was a nurse's car or company's car, or whatever. And then he starts running down the street. Seems like forever, but if you think about it, he's running for so long. And when Lori was walking from her house to the Myers house, it took less
Yeah,
than
right.
30 seconds. So it's like they're not that far
Either
apart if you
he's
think about it. So there's a lot of like you can really pick through this movie and just be like, well,
little
this
things
doesn't
like
line up
that,
with
yeah.
this, but I mean, it's a movie and it was written really quick and it's an older movie and it's a great
Oh yeah.
movie regardless of some of these
Those
minor
little
things.
flaws make it what it is, you know? You just learn to
Exactly.
appreciate them
And then
after
this
each
is
watch even more.
yeah, dude, I can watch this movie all day and
Yeah.
never get sick of it. I just love it. The score of the movie, the way the whole
Hmm.
movie is shot, how like simple
Oh, I know.
everything is, and just pretty much how well written everything is. Besides some of like the dialogue with all the
Yeah.
totalies. I don't know if that was like actually written in
That's
there
just
or if like the
that's
actress
the way
was
she
just like,
talks,
I
yeah.
want to do this to do something.
But it does do a good.
So
Sorry.
Lori,
I was
no,
gonna
it's okay.
say,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
the music, the camera angles, everything just does such a good job that of like setting that fear in that you don't need the gore and all that. You don't need to see the
Exactly.
kills because it's insinuated, and the music just adds to it.
Exactly. You know, the simpler the better. But now it's like we just need all the
Yeah,
gore. We need all the
right.
blood. We need to see everything. You know, which I don't mind. I like watching blood and gore. You know, but I also like the simple things and things that make you think. And before we get to the final part of this, I think this is one reason why this really scared me as a kid was thinking that this could
Oh
be
yeah, this could
anybody
really happen.
because like until you get to the later like even like part 2 to an extent, this is when you can really think this could be somebody I know, somebody could
Yeah.
be doing this. No, like obviously it's an insane person or whatever, but if you just take that the whole like hospital aspect out of it and just think of like pick a neighborhood
Hmm.
around you, right? And just think in one of these houses, it could be somebody that
Yeah.
could do this. Who could just be stalking somebody, which obviously there are people out there who just stalk people. Like there
Yeah.
are stalkers. They're sick and they need help. But
There.
it's
Yeah,
just
there
really
are
scary.
mentally
And
sick
I was
people,
in
mentally ill people out there, and you just never know.
yeah,
One day they might be able to snap, and there's so many undiscovered, like um,
yep,
what's the word? Conditions that we might not even still know about. But like that makes me.
exactly.
Sorry, God, you
And
can finish. Oh,
oh, it's okay.
I
Go
was gonna
ahead.
say it
Whatever
makes
you're
me
saying.
think though too. It's like what caused Michael to be this way. There has to had must have been something in his childhood. Maybe his parents did something, because there doesn't really go too much in this movie as to what caused him to be the way
Yeah,
he
we don't
is.
really learn
Because
about.
like their reaction earlier when they
Yep.
saw he just killed his sister, there wasn't much to it. So
No, it was really just
yeah,
like
it's just like,
Michael.
oh, you did this.
Like you go to the extreme extent, like in Rob Zombie's Halloween, where his childhood was
Yeah,
so fucked. He was killing
that's.
animals.
Hmm.
He was like torturing people. Where you can go really simple of
He's
just
just a psychopath
him just having a really shitty
or a shitty
childhood,
day, and
and
it's just
his parents didn't really care. You know, like his parents were never
yeah,
really there. It's what we kind of like learn about a little bit throughout the movies, but we don't really go too much into his
yeah.
parents or anything. But uh, so as I was saying too, like even with me being in school and this movie kind of really like focusing a lot on like
Hmm.
school and people being in school as and kids and everything, it's scary. It can really like mess you up if you've never seen this movie or
Yeah.
anything or any movies like this that kind of like focus around school. That it can really mess you up knowing that there could
It's
be somebody right
realistic. It
outside just watching you
could
when you're
happen.
yeah. So now we get to the final showdown. I guess you can
Yeah.
call it a showdown. We get to the final girl
Mm.
moment. Okay, so Lori gets the kids to bed, and then after that, she's downstairs. I think she's cleaning up or whatever, and she looks over at the house. I think the lights flicker, and she's like all the lights in Annie's house like turn on and off, like all of them. So it's like the breaker was like broken or something. Like Michael like took out all the power. So she goes there well, no, she's looking, and then she goes into her bag that she brought, which has like her sewing needles and all this stuff. I think she takes out keys, which I think are keys to the
Yeah.
house that she's in. So she goes to Lindsay's slash Annie's house and sees the van outside, and she's like, "Well, I guess everybody's having a good time or whatever, you know." But that might have been what she said earlier. I forget. But she goes there. All the lights are out. Doesn't know what's going on. She goes in. She calls for Annie. She looks around. Doesn't see anybody. And she goes upstairs, and then she goes into the room where Linda and Bob were fooling around, and we see Annie on the bed with Judith's gravestone
That's where that
on the
went.
bed. Like you would think, like Michael is fucking
But that's a
strong, dude.
big tombstone, though.
Gravestones, and I'm surprised they didn't break the bed with Annie and that being on the bed. Like I thought that would have
Yeah, right.
shattered.
Or just like break the support of the frame or something.
Yeah, and then this is my favorite shot of like any horror movie I can really think of off the top of my head. Lori is freaked out. She's freaked out. She backs out of the room and she goes up against the wall. Her crying at this part's definitely not the best, but then you gotta really consider that this is Jamie Lee Curtis's
Yeah.
first film ever. So like her acting is throughout all of it, like her speaking parts are really good, but towards the end of this, like it could have been tweaked a little bit, but we'll get on like into how she was kind of directed into doing fear and
Yeah.
implementing fear. But she backs up against the wall, and it's her with a little bit of light, and then the room next to her, the door's wide open, and it's just pitch black. And then you slowly see Michael come out from the back and come into the light as she's walking away. And this is so awesome. I wish I had like film um experience and be able to recreate what they did because I love it so much. It looks so cool and it builds so much tension. I remember seeing that the first time. That's one of the scenes that scared the shit
Hmm.
out of me when I was a kid. Just
Just
seeing
out of the
him come out
shadows.
from the
Yeah.
shadows and then he just stabs her in the
He
arm,
like
scrapes
slashes
her,
her.
and
Yeah.
then she flies over the
Ugh.
railing. So she like falls down the
She's
stairs.
at
So
least
she's
got like a
fucked, dude.
sprained ankle or
He's like,
something too at that point.
yeah. So if that like this really like makes her seem human and not like somebody
Yeah.
in a movie. Because if it was me or you or anybody, if you got stabbed and
Fell
then
down
like
some
fell
stairs over a
over
banister.
a
Yeah.
flight of stairs, you would be injured. And
I
a lot of
wouldn't be
other
up within
like
30
horror movies,
seconds.
I'm not gonna say like horror movies don't pay attention, stuff like that, or even like
Hmm.
action movies or anything, but they really make characters seem human and
Yeah.
real in this movie, and that's just why I like this one so
And
much.
that's
And then we start getting the chase scene where she's like hobbling away. She's limping a little bit. She runs out the door and then goes to the neighbors, I believe. And she's like banging on the door, like help, help, help. But now you got to remember, this is Halloween night. Kids like to play pranks.
nobody's gonna answer the door.
So yeah, so they turn on the light and then you see someone look out the window. And she's like, "You got to help me." Obviously, she has a bloody arm, but I mean,
It's
like
Halloween.
you would anybody can do that. They can go home and just do that and like go to door and then they shut off the lights and she's like, God damn it, and then like runs away. Michael's not out of the house yet, but
He's
he's
getting
almost
there.
there. So as she's running back to Tommy's house, she's somewhere from falling down the stairs or even just getting into the house, she manages to lose her keys. So she doesn't have the keys to get back into the house. So now she's banging on the door and the kids are asleep upstairs. So I think she grabs I think it's a handful of rocks. And she throws it out the window and she's like, Tommy, open up the door. And then he's like,
He's
who is
half
it? He's
asleep.
he's
Yeah.
just like waking up. He's like, oh, whatever. And then he goes downstairs. He gets down there pretty quick for someone who's
Yeah.
really tired because
But
Michael's
he's
like
like
coming.
10 feet away, and he opens the door in the nick of time.
Yeah, and he's just like opens up the door, whatever, and then she like freaking slams the door, locks it, and then she's like, "You need to get upstairs. You need to hide." And then he's like, "Who is it? Who
The
is it? Who
boogeyman.
is it? Is it the boogeyman?" And then I think she says yes, it's the boogeyman at this point, or maybe it's
Yeah.
a little bit further down. But Tommy goes upstairs back with Lindsay. I think Lindsay's still asleep, or that maybe he goes upstairs and wakes her up,
Yeah.
or something. We don't really see what goes on
You know,
with
I noticed
the
too
kids.
how she turned off all the lights as if that's gonna do anything.
I know, I know. It's like he's right there. You're gonna shut off all the lights. What is that gonna do? You know
You're
you're
giving
in
him the
there.
benefit.
Like
He works better in the dark.
yeah, I was gonna say it's like maybe she's shutting it off to kind of hide herself, but then he was just in a dark
Fighting it.
room,
Yeah,
completely
exactly.
fine, and shut off all the lights. So I mean, obviously he's fine with that. And then she sees one of the windows next to her, I think is open. So within, we don't see Michael come out of the window, but within like the 15 seconds of her telling Tommy to go upstairs and hide, comes in the window and then she's like, "Oh crap!" But we don't see it happening. You know,
Yep.
it's like right next to her, so we would have seen him come through the window. Once again, that's just like another little flaw
Yeah.
in the movie, I guess you could say. It's nothing like really that big of a deal. But then she reaches over into her bag and takes a sewing needle and jams that thing into his neck, man. And he just like it's flat out. And this is where I question her. Grabs his knife and just drops it. I would
Yeah,
hold on to
right.
that thing. Like what? I mean, obviously he has his
He's
hands and
still
everything. He
tough, but
can
he's
choke you
way
out.
less of a threat if
But
without his blade.
she drops it right next to him.
uh,
She doesn't take it anyway.
Another
She
rookie
holds it for 2
mistake.
seconds and just drops it. You know. And then she goes upstairs and she's like, "Okay, you guys are safe. I took care of them." And then as she's saying that, who do we see come up the stairs? Good old Michael. And the kids are like, ah! So then they tell them to hide, and then she runs into, which is, I mean, I noticed she doesn't have, well, this is what she does. Tells them to hide, runs into, I guess, the parents' bedroom, which is like
Yep.
the master room, opens up the, the doors to go outside because there's like a little balcony, I guess to make it seem like she ran
Hmm.
out, or like the kids ran out or something, but even though Michael was like pretty much
Yeah.
right there, so I think he saw it happen. And then she runs into a closet and then locks the door. I think she wraps something around the doorknobs. I think it's like
Yeah.
oat or
Something to keep
something.
it.
And then she's just hiding there. And they do a really good job with the lighting right here
Oh, the
because you can
beams of
see
light, and then
him.
him like through the
Yeah, and you can
closet.
see his shadow, which this is why I think that he saw her open up the doors because he didn't go anywhere near there. He just goes
Yeah.
straight to that door. So and the whole time of this happening, she's panicking. He's breaking down the door, and then he like turns on the light, which is also a really cool shot of him
Oh
opening
yeah.
up the door. There's a lot of screenshots and stuff you can find of him there with the light and
There's a
everything. It
lot of
looks
badass
really
scenes in
cool
this movie.
and pretty creepy. Oh yeah, there's great shots, and she grabs a coat hanger, a wire coat hanger, and within like 2.5 seconds unravels the thing and stabs him in the eye. And while this is happening, the kids are running down the street, and then Loomis sees them, and he starts freaking booking it. And then this is when we get the final shot of Lori coming out of the room and Michael chasing her, and then we get a quick unmask. 'Cause I think she pulls it off him. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. We get the classic
Oh
sit up
yeah.
part. I totally skipped over like the most important thing of her like pretty much being relieved. The kids are gone, and then her up against the door, and Michael's laying down below, like behind her, which is also a really
Yeah.
nice shot. And then we get the classic Michael sit up, which I've tried doing myself, and it's
Yeah.
fucking hard. You gotta have some really good like upper body strength
Hmm.
to do that. So props to Nick Castle. Um, then she starts slowly walking away, and then Michael gets up and doesn't run. Michael never runs. He just walks.
Kind of
Kind of
just
speed
appears
walks a little bit,
places.
but that's yeah. He also just likes to teleport. So you get that, and then his mask comes off, and then we see his face very quickly, who is the face of Nick
Yep.
Castle. He also kind of reprised his role as Michael because he was never in any of the sequels except for Halloween
Hmm.
2018, and I think they confirmed that he's in Halloween
Ooh.
Kills and Halloween. Ends, right? I think it's Halloween Ends is the
Yeah,
last one. So he's in the next 3 films. So he's back in the
yeah.
mantle of Michael.
Um,
And then
you know what? Sorry, I was gonna say in
but
that scene too when she pulls his mask off briefly. I'm actually pulling up pictures right now. Um, he just got stabbed in the eye by a coat hanger. You'd think his face would be kind of fucked up.
it would be pretty like
Um,
messed up, some
but
blood
like
and stuff.
it looks like in the picture where it's zoomed in. It looks like he might just he got punched in the eye, and like his eye looks a little swollen.
Yeah, it's a little
Not just
swollen.
no,
Yeah, it's just like he had a little brawl.
but I thought that was kind of funny.
Got punched. Yeah, and then we get Loomis, who's at the steps and the stairs right where they are, and just unloads 6 shots into him, clears out his whole
Yep.
magazine. Michael falls out of the window, and then Laurie asks, "It was the boogeyman," and then Loomis says, "As
It
a matter of
was.
fact, it was." And then before that quote, we get the I was talking to Aaron about this a little bit before we went live. A lot of people have a discussion of after Michael falls out the window when it goes back to Loomis with the one
Yep.
click of the gun. A lot of people are saying, is that fear? Is that him hoping that there's something else, like another thing in the gun? Is that just a miss shot? Like, did somebody like put in a clip in there by accident? And I don't know. But I honestly think
Yeah.
it's fear because earlier in the movie, he even tells pretty much everybody he's talked to that he is afraid of Michael, and Michael is
He has the right to
not
be.
human.
you know.
You know? I mean, he was his doctor for
Yeah.
15
He knows
years.
him better than anyone
You know,
else.
yeah, but no one wants to listen to him, which I think is complete bullshit. Listen to the
He
goddamn
worked with
doctor.
him for
You
15
know,
years.
literally was in the room with him, did all
Knows
these things
everything
with him,
about
was
him.
there, yeah, and just could not break him and try to get him to talk because he never speaks. You hear him breathe a lot. um, that's the end of the
Cue the
movie.
theme song and the credits.
Yes, and Michael is no longer down where he was shot. He's gone. Which, if when we get to Halloween 2, we'll get into that a little bit. But that movie has, I would actually argue that it has less going on
Yeah.
in that movie than this
I
one
have to
does.
rewatch that one. I don't know if I've seen it or if I
I'm sure you
if
have. I mean, they get a little bit more creative with the kills
mhm.
and everything, with what they do. But it's pretty much like this movie, but just in a hospital with less
Yeah.
going on. I don't know if you have any facts or anything that you want to shoot out right now, but I'm pulling up the rest of my stuff that we can talk about because I have a few. And when I mean few, I have at least
Yeah, you
10.
probably got more than I do, so
But
I'll let you lead the way in the facts.
so then we'll start to see what you have because maybe you'll be able to knock some of the stuff I have
Um,
off. So let's see what you have.
let's see. Well, I don't have any like typed out right now. But
That's okay. You have
no,
any off
not
the top of your
really.
head? All right.
um,
Well, then I'll
yeah,
just go through my list if you want, and then
yeah,
we'll see. So there's a lot you can talk about with this movie. You can talk about the budget. You can talk about how long it took for it to be written and how many
yep,
days it was shot. But I didn't really go into any details with that. I kind of went off with like what the original title was supposed to be, which I don't know how I feel about it. But I feel like if they didn't go down this road and they did it with a
hmm
different character, it would have probably been good. But it was originally supposed to be called The Babysitter
huh,
Murders. But the person that John was talking to, it must have been like the head of whatever company he was with, was like, no, you need to do that. You need to change that. We need to make it more oriented with like a
yep,
holiday. So then John picked Halloween just because it's pretty popular. I think it was even pretty popular
yeah,
back then. I don't know the actual year Halloween was really established, like being going out and like trick or treating and
it
everything.
was
But
a
I
long
know it
time.
was within the
Yeah,
last 100 years,
something like that.
wasn't it?
Let's see.
I think so.
Let's do some research.
Yeah, if you want to look that up while I'm
Yeah,
going through this, that'd be cool. And then obviously this is Jamie Lee Curtis's first film, and there's a lot of nods to Psycho. the classic. Like as you can know that Sam Loomis, the doctor, he's based off of Sam Loomis from Psycho, from Alfred Hitchcock. And then if we talk about the Myers house, it's still around, but it's not what you think it is. They actually moved it where from the original location it was in, and is now a dentist's office, if you can
Really?
believe it or not. So you can go there if you want to go see a dentist, if you want Michael Myers pulling out your teeth. So I thought that was a really cool thing I learned. I think I learned that from Cinemassacre. So I don't know if anybody watches Cinemassacre, but he did like a deep dive on some of the stuff surrounding this movie.
Um, so I'm reading here that Halloween, or All Hallows Eve, as it's also known as,
Hmm.
is a celebration observed in many countries. 31st of October, of course. Um, but it's the eve of the Western Christian feast of All Hallows Day. It begins the observance of All Hallowtide, the time in liturgical year dedicated to remembering the dead, including saints, martyrs, and the faithful departed. Um, so,
Okay.
but
Does it have a year of when it was like
uh,
popular, of like the trick or treating and everything
spread
in
to North
America?
America right here. Leslie Bannatyne and Cindy Ott write that Anglican colonists in the southern United States and Catholic colonists in Maryland recognized All Hallows Eve in their church calendars. Although the Puritans of New England maintained strong opposition to the holiday, along with other traditional celebrations of the established church, including Christmas, the late 18th century and early 19th century give no indication that Halloween was widely celebrated in North America. It is not until mass Irish and Scottish immigration in the 19th century that Halloween became a major holiday in America. So,
Okay, so it
yeah.
really wasn't that long ago. Okay, so it was pretty recent.
But,
Um, so we got the dentist office. Now, if we talk about the mask, which I was trying to actually find the specific thing because
like
I
what
think
it's
I
based on?
watched on one of my
Or,
no, we'll get into that, but I think I have a DVD somewhere. I have multiple like Halloween DVDs. I have like Blu-rays. I have I think a 4K one, and then I have like a just a basic DVD one. But I think on the DVD one they were talking about the mask a little bit
yeah.
with Deborah Hill, who was like the co-writer on Halloween, who helped John pretty much push this script out in like less
Mm-hmm.
than 2 weeks. Or it was 3 days or something. I think no, the music was written in 3 days. I think the script was done in
Yeah,
like
less than
less than
two
two
weeks, and
weeks.
they filmed in 20 days, I believe it was.
Yeah, it was like very short, and it was in the
Yeah.
spring too. So I have some stuff regarding that too. But I think if I remember, they said they only had one mask on set, and it was actually
That's
lost. And the mask was Captain Kirk
oh,
mask,
I'm reading that right now,
who
actually.
no is yeah. So they found that there was I think they grabbed well they were deciding between two. I saw somebody quote saying that there was one mask that they're looking at was like $2, but then they saw the
Mm-hmm.
Kirk mask. They grabbed that and they was spray painted it white. They didn't really. I think they ripped off the eyebrows because they had like
Yep.
bushy eyebrows. So they ripped that off and then they spray painted it and just left the hair the way it was. But I'm pretty sure there was only one mask on set and they lost it, but then they
Yeah.
found it later on or something
I'm
like
reading.
that. I think
Yeah, I'm reading
that's what.
something right now. It says that one was a replica of a mask of a clown called Weary Willie, popularized by
Now it might have been. That no, that don't. I'm thinking maybe Michael's mask in the beginning, but that doesn't really
yeah,
make any sense.
but
But maybe
yeah, as they didn't have a particular mask in mind, I guess, for the script.
actually I can go grab. Actually, I'll show you guys right now. I actually have. Maybe watching the video. I have uh the mask from not actually from the first movie, but this is like based off of the first movie. So this is from Trick or Treat Studios, who are awesome, and this is the very first mask I ever purchased from them. So um, anybody who watches the video, this will also be up on YouTube, so anybody can watch it or even on Twitch. But I have a couple other ones down here. Um, I have a mask I bought for my son. Aaron, if you just want to talk for a couple minutes while I
Yeah,
go and find that and see if we can
Yeah,
get
no,
another
I got a
fact.
few facts up
Oh, and
here on
I'll
my
be right back.
screen. John Carpenter named many of the characters in the movie after acquaintances or influences. Um, he says he came from the British film distributor who helped put out Carpenter's previous movie, Assault on Precinct 13, in the UK. Laurie Strode is named after one of his ex-girlfriends, while Tommy Doyle is named after a character from Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window. Um, let's see. One Halloween character is named after another famous movie character. Donald Pleasant's character, Dr. Sam Lewis, was named after the character of the same name from Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. Um, huh. Most of the cast provided their own wardrobe, all for $100 at J.C. Penney.
Sorry, I don't know. I don't know where my son put it, but I bought him like the actual on Trick or Treat Studios to have some of the costumes
Oh, did you get
and
him the
stuff
clown?
of like Michael. Yeah, I got him the Kid Michael version. They have the Kid Michael, and then they also have the clown that Jamie was in part part 4 when they were kind of going down like teasing like, oh no, maybe she would have
Mm-hmm.
been the next Michael, but we'll talk about that like way later on whenever we get to other Halloweens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was reading up about that the wardrobe too. That they pretty much just wore
Yep.
what they wanted, and Jamie Lee kind of just like put on whatever she wanted from JCPenney. I think he said it was like hundred
Yeah.
dollars or something.
I guess. Oh, sorry.
But supposedly she was for her first film she got paid $8,000
Really?
for this.
Hmm.
Hmm.
But I
Which
mean,
isn't too bad
considering
for your
too in the
first film, I think.
70s, you know.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. But there's also speculation that because John really wanted Donald Pleasance to be in the film, and he was I think asking for more money than he
Mm-hmm.
was thinking. But I think they were speculating that he got paid like a lot of money for this. So and talked about the dog trainer, and then also another thing that people I don't think uh know or even heard anybody talk about, but there's been speculations that even in that DVD I was just talking about, they were talking. Deborah was talking about how many people are in the Michael Myers
Mm-hmm.
suit. So it wasn't really Nick Castle the whole time. Supposedly he was on set a lot, but he wasn't really
Yeah.
doing a lot. So I think they kind of John was like, "You need to be in the suit," and that's what they used at the end of the movie. Because this movie was actually shot in order, and I'll go on about like the whole fear thing I was talking about earlier about Jamie Lee Curtis having to act into
Mm-hmm.
fear and all that stuff. But Nick Castle is the most known because you see his
Yep.
face at the end, and he's also I think everybody at the end of it. But there's speculation that maybe John was in the costume. Um, Deborah Hill said that she was in the
Huh.
costume once, but I don't remember what shot she said. And I think they said that another one of the actors was in the suit, or maybe some other people on the set. I don't remember exactly who,
Hmm.
but that's kind of an interesting thing
Makes you
to
wonder
learn.
if.
And then about the fear thing, I guess John came up with this fear. I don't know what he called it. It's like a fear timeline. I'm gonna call it because it was like him telling Jamie how how much fear or how scared she should be in this part, and every time you see Jamie, she's a little bit more skeptic and a little bit more
Yep.
frightened. That's when we see it when we first see her at the school. She's kind of like, whatever. It's just a dude, I guess. And then we get the car, and then she's really like, but this guy is
Yeah.
following me, so she's getting more scared. And then even when she's at home with the whole
Yep.
phone and her being frightened and Michael being outside, she's more scared. But then when she's with Tommy, it kind of brings it down because she's with somebody, and it's like I'm
Yep.
with a kid, nobody's gonna hurt a kid. That's how I kind of think about it. So it's like if I'm with him, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be fine. And then when she gets to the house is when it starts getting back more intense, and then obviously to the final
Yep.
ending. But that's pretty much all I have on the
I just read
facts.
something pretty cool too. I guess at the when they started shooting the movie, the Myers house, was actually abandoned, and all the crew worked together to paint it and then dress it with furniture to make it look lived in.
Oh, that's really cool.
Um, and then
That's
John
really cool.
Carpenter completed the entire score in 3 days. Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, really, there's not a lot going
yeah,
on there. I mean, that's his classic like synth thing. I actually, there's a lot of stuff that I had gotten made for my other uh
hmm
streaming channel, and I made someone do like a John Carpenter type thing, and it sounds really really cool. But also one thing I do want to know is that this movie was made in the spring, and they have pumpkins, so they had to go to other places, or I think they either went to some other state or something. It's in one of the websites I was reading. I didn't write
hmm
it down, so I am gonna apologize if I get any of this wrong. But they had to take it and like preserve it, and then they also had to go and get fake leaves because obviously in springtime there's no dead
oh
leaves
yeah,
anywhere blowing around in the street. So with the shots that you see, the leaves like kind of like blowing, it's all stuff that they kind of just like they killed the leaves. I guess they got like a bag of leaves, took them off, and did something
yep.
with them to make them
Threw him in
die.
the oven for a few minutes.
So yeah, no, right. Uh, damn, this movie.
It's a good one.
I love this movie,
Yeah,
and I could tear this movie apart. I could talk about it like we just did for what, like almost an hour and a half, guys. That's I was kind of expecting a little bit more than that, but we kind of like went through it really
yeah.
fast. So, but I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to add on to this
Um,
or
I mean, I
anything
think
else,
we just
or
about covered you know, the, the plot, and
I mean, I'm
there's
sure
plenty to talk
there's like a
about.
lot
Yeah.
more facts.
Um.
Yeah, there's got to be more facts out there, but you would really have to go to the actual source. Like, I would love to like pick apart John's
Oh,
brain
I
on
know.
this
Just
movie
like
and just like
interview
go
him.
through everything. Like, I've listened to other people like interview John and all this stuff, but they talk about like all his films. They don't just really talk about one
Yeah.
specific one. And I just really wanted to know like the whole process,
Right.
knowing that you have such a small budget, and then you had to kind of rush the
Yep.
script, and then you had to come up with a score. Because the reason why he came up with the score, now that I'm really thinking about it, I remember reading something earlier. He came up with the score because they showed this originally to test the audience with no
Yeah.
music, and
Hmm.
nobody was scared. So
It
they
goes to
made the
show how
music,
big of a
and
difference, how much of a
that's.
difference it makes.
And if you think of any other horror movie besides maybe like a select few, how many of you can just know that this is Halloween when you
hmm
hear that theme? Like, it is so iconic, and for how old this movie is too, it still holds up till this day. Because there's not a lot of like weird special effects
Yep.
going on. The camera shots are really good. They're not really doing anything too fancy. That is kind of playing it really safe. And I think if someone were to make a movie like this today, with being so simple and even using like the same cameras and everything, it would still look
Yeah.
amazing.
Oh yeah.
And I think it would still go over very well too. I think everybody would still really like this movie.
I think so too. I can't wait for Halloween Kills though. I'm
Me
I'm kind
either.
of nervous,
There's,
but
I think they were saying they're dropping a trailer within the next
okay.
month or so. So I will be keeping my eyes on that, and I will be posting that on all the social medias as soon as it comes, and then maybe we can do like a review of that
Yeah,
together on here or something.
definitely.
Um, so I don't know what we're gonna be doing for our next movie, Aaron. I don't know if you
I think
have
I got
anything
a
that you
few up
wanted
my
to do.
sleeve. I'm gonna wait. It's gonna be a surprise.
Okay, so I will let you guys know on the Patreon if you guys, for anybody who's watching or listening, we have a Patreon. It's I think it's the same name as this, so it's just a Baron's Hideout underscore podcast Patreon. You can go in there. You got some pretty cool perks. Let me see if I can pull them up because I have a couple of different uh, perks lined up. So let me see. I want to get these right for you guys in case everybody does
Yeah.
want to sign up, which means a lot to me. If you do, you don't have to. You can just watch us and listen. So where? Let's go here. Go to
I
the
think I
main
got up right
page.
here.
Okay. If
All
you want to list
right.
them off again,
Yeah,
go by
so
the
we got
tiers.
different levels of membership. We got Dead Meat, which is $1 a month. Um, these are for people who want to support us and listen to us. Enables a shout out in the description on every platform that the episodes are on. You get access to the sub channel, the Patreon sub channel on Discord. So you get.
Which is awesome. I just added that the other week, like
Mhm.
last week, and I'm so happy with that.
But then you get tier 2, which is a killer. That's $3 per month. You get all the benefits listed above. You get a shout out. You get the Discord benefits. Plus, you get an inside look at our notes for each podcast. Plus, your own copy. And we also do monthly
Yes.
AMAs. Um, then the next,
Which we'll have to
yeah.
set up a day for that, and like actually figure out a good day.
Um,
It probably won't start until next month, considering it's already
yeah.
the end of this month.
We'll
So
plan out a date for that. Then the next tier, you got Psycho, which is the most expensive one. It's only $6 per month. Um, you're a true, yeah, you're
top
like the
tier.
top tier. You're a true psycho. We really appreciate the support. The tier includes what we listed above, and the other two: the shout out, Discord benefits, notes. But you also get to take part in the decision making of what movies we'll be watching and reviewing and discussing. Plus, you get to grant a subscription on the Twitch channel where we're live streaming right now on each episode. Oh,
Yes, we will gift you a sub on the Twitch channel, which will enable some emotes. Which whenever we get to that point,
yeah.
we can
We're gonna have fun
unlock
with
some
that.
emotes, which will probably be a little bit, but even if they're not on the Twitch channel, we can always add them on Discord, which is really cool. So
We're gonna have a lot of fun with that
it's
once that
really
day comes.
yes, and I'm really excited. Like I was, to be honest, at first I'm always up in the air of doing things like this, but I think since it's two of us, and for the people who do like listening to us and want to support us, and like listen to us
Just
ramble
hang
on
out.
and be idiots sometimes and not know exactly what we're talking about at times, which does happen. Like sometimes we stumble and
Hey,
whatever, and then we just have to like fall on each other. But we're still new at this, guys. So I'm having a lot of fun,
me too.
and like I said, Aaron's my best friend, and I've always wanted to do something with him, and I figured why not do a podcast? And I'm having a
Oh
lot of
yeah, me
fun.
too. And it works out, with the whole pandemic. We can't really directly hang
Yep,
out. It's a good way to, keep up with each other. Discuss our favorite
exactly.
movies and hobbies, and you know, and
Yes.
taking you guys.
And just so everybody knows, we stream this live every Saturday at around 9 p.m. Eastern
Could be
time.
earlier. It could be a little
And
later.
if you yeah, give or take, but usually
Yeah.
it's around 9. I post on all the socials if anybody is interested, and I list all the socials and all the platforms that the podcast gets updated on and put on. So if you become a tier 2 or tier 3 member on the Patreon, you will get granted early access to the audio version of the podcast that night. After we are completely done with the stream, I go upload it onto the service that we use, which is Anchor. Really cool. They're free and they're awesome. They help us like distribute to everything. And then the following day, in between noon and midday, Sunday, the next day, it goes live on Spotify first, and then it will distribute through the rest of the platforms within the next couple of days. So for anybody who doesn't want to have to watch the video and just want the audio, that's completely awesome. Any downloads, likes, shares, or anything really does support
All
us.
appreciated.
Even if you don't want to become, yep, even if you don't want to become a patron, you don't have to. We don't want to make it seem like you guys have to, give us money, but just you guys listening or watching or both, you guys mean a lot to us. And at the end of every stream, if you have people come into the chat, and you have questions, we will answer them live for you. It might not make it onto the podcast when it's distributed, but who knows? Maybe we'll do that depending on how long it goes.
Yeah.
But I think that pretty much concludes tonight. About an
Yeah.
hour and a half. Pretty good. And then I will be posting first on Patreon once Aaron tells me what movie we'll be watching because he's taking the next two picks. So we're gonna be doing. It'll be like what? About
Yeah.
four movies a month, give or
Yeah.
take.
One a week,
We might,
maybe more if we feel up
yeah,
to it. You know.
yeah, maybe we might do a Wednesday. We'll see. We're still playing around that, but for right now, it's gonna be every Saturday. In case unless something comes up, but I think that's about it. I don't think I have anything
No.
else I want to talk about. Is there anything else that you want to
I was
share
just gonna
or promote?
post my social. I mean, I'm really only active on Instagram, so if anyone wants to, get to know either of us better,
Yep.
we'll post those. I'm gonna start, posting, making announcements whenever I do going live. So I'm gonna post my Instagram in there, and whoever wants can follow me.
Yep. I'll make sure that gets added to all of the links and everything that I have connected to socials, and I'll also add you to the link tree as well because I have a
Okay,
link tree
cool.
going on. That's on like everything else, so it's all in one space, so people don't have to click through
Yeah,
10,000 links.
I know there's
So
a lot of people using
this
that
makes it
site,
way easier.
like a lot of celebrities and stuff and streamers.
It's a lifesaver, guys. If you, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna let everybody know right now. If you guys are on any social platforms or anything, you have multiple places you want people to reach you out, please get a link tree. It is free. I mean, you can upgrade to get a pro and to get like analytics and stuff, but you don't really need it unless you like really want to dive into that. But link trees are
I'd
a
also like
lifesaver.
to
You're not
advertise
like
my
posting.
OnlyFans.
Yeah, no. Make sure you subscribe on OnlyFans. Oh my god. Funny thing, I was actually thinking about doing that instead of a Patreon. Because some people I saw and I have heard people talking like, hey, I don't want to do Patreon, I want to do OnlyFans, and they just upload like content that we would be
Yep.
doing like right here, not like
Well, I
actual, not
mean,
like
it's not even
pornographic stuff.
necessarily for, like porn and shit. It started off just
Yeah.
so, people can post like their art or their videos and stuff and,
Yep.
and the piece
Yep.
that way they can get, paid for it. But that just kind of turned into like a
Yep.
porn site. um,
Yep.
but
And that kind of happens with a
yeah.
lot of sites, and whether you know it or not. I mean, sometimes you go a little too deep into the YouTubes and you get into the weird part, and you're just like, why
How
am
did
I
I end
here?
up here?
Yeah. But I think that concludes this podcast. This is podcast number 2. Oh my god, this is gonna be an awesome
Yeah,
journey. Thank you for coming on this ride with
absolutely.
me. Oh, we got the kitty on the screen.
It's my girl Amy.
I definitely, I I did something bad and didn't grab any water for the stream,
Oh
so my
no.
throat's like super like dead. I was drinking coffee instead, which is fine. I'm gonna go
We're
chug
both
some water
caffeine
right now.
addicts.
But thank you guys so much for listening, watching, doing both, supporting us anyway, even if you're just like liking any posts or retweeting, whatever it may be.
Anything.
You guys are absolutely awesome, and we'll definitely see you next week. Like I said, I'll be posting first on Patreon, the movie, and then I will ship it out once Aaron puts a post on his Instagram,
I'll
so
be
that way
posting it
I'm
on my
going in
Instagram as
tandem
well.
with him.
So
Okay. Thank you guys so much. I will make sure to get this out and ready, put it onto Patreon, and then tomorrow it will be on all the other platforms. Aaron, if you want to
all
lead
right.
us
I
out.
hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. We will see you next week. My name is Aaron.
And my name is Dustin, and we are the Barons Hideout
Thank
Podcast.
you for watching.
And I will be seeing all you guys and hearing from you guys later on. Remember,
Stay
stay spooky.
spooky
I'll see
if
you
you
guys
dare.
later.
Bye.